Hola, hola, buenos días, bienvenidos, ¿cómo están? Todos juntos ya estamos listos para aprender. Muy bien cantado. Ahora saquen papel y algo para escribir, como un lápiz o una pluma. We're moving right along today. Got a lot of things that we're doing. We're going to go ahead and start off with our letter dictation activity. So I'd like for everyone to go ahead and take out something to write on and something to write with. And let's see if you can write down this first letter. La M. La M. Can you hear the sound of that? M. Go ahead and write that down. Did you write down this letter? La M. There it is. You see that? La M. Let's try another one. La E. La E. Now this isn't the letter A from English. La E. Okay? Did you write down La E? There it is. Did you get that one? Let's try another one. You should be able to recognize this. La T. T. Think about it. La T. Did you write down this letter? There it is. La T. La T. How about this one? La R. La R de restaurante. La R. Did you get this one? There it is. La R. One more, and this one should be very easy for you. La O. La O. Did you get La O? O. And my mouth forms the same shape as the letter when I say it. La O. Okay. Now, if you put all of those together, you should get, here we go, M, E, T, R, O. Metro. Metro. Did you get that? Very good. Well, that leads us right into our review of all the measurements that we've been talking about so far in this unit. Let's look at those again right now. The first thing that we talked about is linear measurement. Para medir distancia, altura y el largo de cosas, right? Y usamos centímetros, which are about as wide as your finger, and we usually use those to measure things that aren't too awfully big, right? And then we use metros, and metro, yeah, about as far as you can get your arms apart probably. We use metros to measure things that would take too many centímetros to measure. Now, who remembers how many centímetros are in a metro? 100 centímetros. Then we looked at kilómetros, and a kilómetro is way over there. Who remembers how many metros are there in a kilómetro? Do you remember when I was running on that one video that we watched? How many metros en un kilómetro? 1,000. And now, what would we measure with kilómetros? Big distances, like on highways and things. Now, after linear measurement, we talked about weighing things. Para pesar, usamos estas dos unidades. Este es un gramo. Un gramo. You see my finger there? You see how big that is? Es un gramo. We also use un kilogramo. Un kilogramo es así de grande. Yeah, it's quite a bit bigger. Now, which of these are we going to use to measure heavy things? Kilogramos or gramos? But to measure heavy things, we're going to use kilogramos. What about to measure light things? Remember last time we talked about a pencil and a piece of gum? That's right, we're going to use gramos to measure the light things. Now, last time we talked about centi as a prefix and said that it means 100, like centipede or centimetro or 5 cents, right? Now, we've seen this prefix kilo on the words kilometro and kilogramo. Now, remembering how many meters there are in a kilometer and how many gramos there are in un kilogramo, what does kilo mean? It's a number. It means 1,000. Okay? Now think of computers and see if you can figure out what a kilobyte is. A kilobyte. See, we even use it in English. Muy bien. Now another thing that we measure, although you may not have thought of this, is time. And when we talk about time, what instrument do we use to measure time? What do you look at if you want to know what time it is? A clock or a watch. So in linear measurement, we use centímetros, metros, and kilómetros. And in weighing things, we use gramos and kilogramos. Well, what units do we use in English to divide time? Think about it. Raise your hand, see if you can tell your teacher. How do we divide time in English? Well, we talk about hours and minutes and seconds. In Spanish, we use the same units of time, so that makes it pretty easy. And many of the words that we use are cognates. And that's why I told you that this would be so easy for you. If you were going to measure how long you can hold your breath, what unit of measurement would you use? Would you use hours, minutes, seconds? You'd probably use seconds. En español se dice segundos. Segundos. Does this look like a cognate? Yeah, okay. Now, what would you use to measure how long our Spanish lesson is? What would you use to measure how long the Spanish lesson is? You'd probably use minutes, right? En español se dice minutos. Minutos. This is spelled almost exactly the same as in English, but it's pronounced a little bit differently. Minutos. What unit of measure do you use to know how long you stay at school every day? You probably use hours. En español se dice horas. Horas. Well, now, aren't all of those pretty easy? Well, I tell you what, let's look at a clock and see if we can tell some time in Spanish. Este es un reloj. Reloj. Can you say that? Reloj. You kind of have that H sound at the end because the J is there. Okay? And this is what we use to tell time. Okay? And around here, we use the numbers, right? You guys know how to tell time. Okay? Well, let me see. When the big hand is on the 1, the little hand is on the 12, we say, es la una. Es la una. Right? Una es la una. Now, when it's over here, we'd say, son las dos. Son las dos. Pretty easy, huh? How about this? Son las seis. Son las seis. How about this? What time do you get out of school? What time do you get out of school? A las tres. But not everything happens right on the hour, right? There are times in between hours that you need to know how to name. For example, when the little hand moves over here to the 1, that means about 5 minutes, right? In Spanish we say, 5 minutos. 5 minutos. Pretty easy, huh? How about this? 10 minutos. 10 minutos. How about this one? You can probably figure that out, right? 15 minutos. Now, sometimes in English we call this 15 minutes, or we call it something else too. It's 1/4 or 1/4 of an hour, or a quarter of an hour, right? Sometimes in Spanish this is called un cuarto de hora. Un cuarto de hora. Just like 1/4 of a dollar is called a quarter, or 1/4 of a football game is called a quarter, 1/4 of an hour is called un cuarto de hora in Spanish. Let's see, then you have 20 minutos, 25 minutos, right? 30 minutos. Now, what do we call this in English? 30 minutos, we call that half an hour. En español se dice media hora. Media hora. So who can guess what media means? It means a half. Now, if we keep going up like this, we can say, yeah. We could say this is las 3:55, right? 3:55. Just like in English, we might say 3:55. But sometimes you'll say that it's almost 4 o'clock. You might say it's about 5 minutes until 4 o'clock. In Spanish, we can do the same thing. We can say, faltan 5 para las 4. Faltan 5 para las 4. In other words, it's lacking 5 minutes until it's 4 o'clock. Okay? Well, I tell you what, those were all of the things that I wanted to tell you about today. So right now, I'd like for you to review with this video. Ahora, pongan atención y repitan todos. La hora. Este es un reloj. Marca la hora. Este es un segundo. Este es un minuto. Esta es una hora. Este es un cuarto de hora. Esta es media hora. Según el reloj, faltan 5 para las 2. Muy bien. Ahora quiero que repasen otra vez el TPR, the TPR. Now you guys should be getting pretty good at this. Teachers, if you have access to a television in your room and 5 minutes left at the end of today, you can slip the TPR in and have the students review like that. Ahora, presten atención y participen todos. Muy bien. Well, let's go ahead and start with a review of all of the things that we've been talking about up to now. And let's see how you guys remember. Everybody get your chairs and your desks arranged so that you can participate with us. ¿Listos? Okay, here we go. Párense. Oh, yeah. Siéntense. This is getting too easy. Párense. Yeah, okay. Well, how about this one? You remember this? Brinquen. Basta. Voltéense. Voltéense. Muy bien, siéntense. Párense. Okay, how about this one? Do you remember canten? La, 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 la. Okay, basta.
Okay, so do you remember last time we put them all together? And let's see if you guys can do this. Brinquen y voltéense y canten. Dale. Basta. Boy, what a good way to learn a language. You get some exercise and you get some dizzy kind of. Well, there's another thing that I'd like to show you today. And I'll tell you what it is, and then we'll all do it together so that you can see what it is. The word is caminen. So, caminen. Basta. Voltéense. Caminen. Oop, basta. Voltéense. Siéntense. Okay, let's see how you guys do now. Párense. Caminen. Basta. Voltéense. Caminen. Basta. Voltéense. Brinquen. Ah, basta y siéntense. Tried to hit you up with a little change there. We're going to be adding some more things on future TPR lessons. I hope you guys are getting a chance to practice these along with us. That's all we have time for today. Muchas gracias. Let's look up there and say adios. Adios. Muy bien. Ahora saquen la hoja de actividades llamada gato. Okay. Now, gato is the word for an animal in Spanish. What do you call it if you tie in a game of tic-tac-toe? What do you call that? Do you call it a cat's game? Well, gato means cat in Spanish. Okay, let's see how we'll play this game. Each of these has a time over here. Un cuarto de hora is this one. Un minuto is the second one. Las 12, you see right there. La una, you see right there. Media hora, una hora. Las 8:30, 2:15. And down here, this is 3:45. Right, it's 3:45. Oh, faltan 15 para las 4, or it's 15 minutes till 4. Now, to play this game of tic-tac-toe, what I'd like you guys to do is to, instead of just putting your thing on there, say, un cuarto de hora. So that's your space. Las 12. So that's your space. So call out the space where you're going to put your thing. It'll give you a chance to review this vocabulary. And then down at the bottom, make your own game by gluing pictures or drawings, any writings or words that you want to make, that you want to review. You can make your own tic-tac-toe board and play the same way where you have to call out the words that you're going to be using. Now, I've also included this activity sheet to help you practice telling time in Spanish. Okay, it's called La Esfera del Reloj. Does anyone know what the front part of a clock is called? It's called the face. That's right. And you can put this one together just like the one I was using in class today. I put mine on the paper plate. Yeah. Well, the front of a clock is called a face. Did I ever tell you I have an uncle who works all day in a clock factory making faces? Today, we reviewed all of the measuring that we've been talking about up to now in this unit. And we started talking about how to measure time. Yeah. Next class, we're going to be talking about measuring bigger portions of time. It's something that we have already talked about before, so it should be pretty easy for you. It's the calendar. Pero ahora es hora de despedirnos. For our goodbye song today, let's sing a new song that I don't think we've sung this year. It's called La Cucaracha. If you have your Spanish-English dictionaries around, see if you can find out what La Cucaracha means. Todas las muchachas tienen en los ojos dos estrellas, pero las mexicanitas de seguro son más bellas. La cucaracha, ya no quiere caminar. Porque no tiene, porque le falta dinero para gastar. Muy bien. Until next class. Adiós y hasta luego.